York City and its 5 boroughs make up one of the greatest cities in the world. Industry, art, bagels. In the heart of the city stands a forest, a jewel of a green in a sea of concrete. This is Prospect Park. For millions of people living in Brooklyn, the park is their backyard. It's where you go to ride a bike, kick a ball, climb a tree, be loud or be quiet. Look for treasure. Well, I don't think you're supposed to dig in the park, so don't do that. The park is a big open space for whatever you can dream up that day. They say you never walk into the same park twice. Who knows what you'll see today, or who you'll meet. It's Saturday, and we're at Prospect Park, Brooklyn, New York. Today, we're going to meet some of the people who love and care for the park. We'll go on a boat ride, check out some art, meet a dancer, and a scientist.
3/4 of all animal species in the world are beetles. Not just insects, are beetles.
The park is a gathering place for all sorts of people. For new friends, and especially old friends.
They're like, I don't feel like watching the waterfall today.
Yeah, I think we met in preschool.
Yeah, we were maybe like 2-ish?
Yeah.
1.5-ish? I don't know. Okay, let's go.
John and Leela's plan today is to meet up with some friends to go birding, which is kind of like a treasure hunt where the goal is to spot as many different kinds of birds as you can. And then check out an experimental art installation in the park, a tree opera. Cool.
Over the spring, there was this swan and a bunch of singlets, and they were so cute. There were 6 of them.
This is where I saw my first prothonotary warbler.
What's a, oh. Oh, I just killed a mosquito. Oh, that's gigantic. Ew.
I like your rings.
Ew,
anyway,
thanks.
do you want to go to the bridge?
Yeah.
Leela grew up a few blocks from the park and is an expert on its playgrounds, of which she has strong opinions.
Well, I spend a lot of my time at the Melody Playground because that's right by my house, so I'm a little bit biased on that one.
There's a total of 7 unique playgrounds to choose from in Prospect Park. Other attractions include a skating rink, splash pad, and of course, the historic carousel.
Anything else? You don't want to ride the carousel? It'll cool you off. All right.
This is Marge. She runs things over at the Pony Express. If you see her, make sure you ask her to introduce you to Percy.
This is Percy. He's 7 years old, and he likes people, too. My friend told me to bring sunglasses for him today. He's been on the carousel, right? Well, we do let dogs on the carousel, as long as they're not going to get sick. We don't charge dogs.
Marge grew up just a few blocks from the park.
When I was a kid, there were pony rides here. They were little yellow carts with ponies.
These days, Marge is known as the mayor of Prospect Park.
Hi. 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 How are you?
There's a good chance you'll see her making the rounds on her golf cart. Marge's connection to the park goes back generations. Back in the day, her grandpa used to sneak out to sleep in the park under the stars. Her parents got engaged in the park.
This is where they came and they had picnics, and they used to have big events in Prospect Park. So the park meant a lot, you know, both sides of my family. You went sleigh riding, you went ice skating. My brother-in-law was sleigh riding with his kids. They went right across onto the lake.
Marge is taking us on a cruise on The Loop, a 3.5-mile path that takes you around the entire 526 acres of the park. You can run it, ride it, walk it.
When you ride around, you see everything. You know, I saw this cool skateboard today. I wish I kept my skateboard. I had metal wheels on my skateboard in the olden days.
Along your ride, you're going to pass a meadow over a mile long. Brooklyn's last forest. Waterfalls and a big lake filled with fish. These features were dreamed up by the park's designers, Frederick Law Olmsted and Calvert Vaux, the same pair that designed Central Park across the river. It took years of work planting trees and moving the earth, creating lakes, streams, and hills. The goal was to make a park for everyone to enjoy nature and each other. And it was free, so everyone was welcome. The park opened in 1867, just after the American Civil War ended. Today, Brooklyn is home to 2.7 million people who speak over 600 different languages. And so having this big old park is more important than ever. As you continue your way through the park, you might see a weekend farmer's market, food vendors selling hot dogs and pretzels, and yeah, lots of dogs.
It's an adventure every time you take a ride.
John and Leela have met up with their friends, Elias and Ben, for an afternoon of birding. Don't let their age fool you. They're some of the most highly skilled birders in New York City.
Seems to be a ruby-crowned kinglet. Kinglets are absolutely tiny.
They have this eye ring that makes them look like almost animated. They're just really bold and cute.
Ask a birder what bird they hope to see, and most likely they'll say it's warblers they're after.
And there's our yellow-rumped warbler.
Warblers are colorful, tiny songbirds that pass through Prospect Park during their migratory journeys every spring and fall.
A common syndrome of birding during migration is something called warbler neck, which is pain in the neck after an exciting day of birding, because all the warblers are up in trees, so you have to look up really high, and it's not fun. But it yields good rewards.
I just think like birding is like really underrated. It's not like seen as the most like popular thing to do.
I also call it, as my classmates have nicknamed it as soon as I said that I birdwatched on the first day of school, nerding. They're very creative.
No one really calls it that at my school.
Everyone calls it that at my school.
John has been birding since he can remember.
My parents say that like my first phrase was birdie up in the sky, so maybe like I saw a pigeon.
He even went birding in Antarctica.
I think it can be a great way to like go outside and for a little bit forget about like homework and social worries. I think I see 2 more wood ducks, a male and a female.
I just saw 2 American black ducks.
Oh yeah.
I mean, there's just so many birds in Prospect Park. It's changed my life for the better, just because every time I go here, there's something new, something exciting. And also I get to meet other birders, which I enjoy.
So maybe we can walk onto the hammerhead a little, see if there's anything there. I think I see some swans at the other side of the lake.
Something just sallied out over there, too.
Prospect Park is home to Brooklyn's only lake. In its waters are many species of plants and wildlife like white lily pads, turtles, and one floating goat.
Hi, this is my boat. It's the Floating Goat. It's called a weed harvester. It gathers all the invasive species that sit on top of the lake. It also picks up trash, picks up all kinds of things.
This is Marty. She's in charge of all the different bodies of water in the park.
Because the boat has to get into some very, very shallow areas, you couldn't use a propeller because it would get also caught up in the weeds. So the only way to do that is using these two big paddles. It gives you so much more scope of where you can go.
Marty keeps the water clear of invasive plants so the native plants and the wildlife, like the fish and turtles, can survive.
You lower the front of the boat and it cuts the invasive plants, and it works with conveyor belts, and it draws everything up into the belly of the beast. We had a boat when I was young. I loved it. There's just something about the water, the smell of it, the feel of it. It gives me a sense of peace. You forget when you're here that you're right in the center of New York City. In a moment, when we go under the bridge, you're gonna have to really lower yourself down, okay?
Marty has a special connection to the animals in the park, especially to a family of swans.
Hey, guys. How you doing? Come on, Trouble. Yeah, Peep, Peep. Come on. There's been a pair of swans here, and I'd been studying them and working with them for 8 years.
The male swan would often visit Marty out on the lake.
He would see me and then suddenly came charging across the lake.
One day, Marty's friend went missing, leaving his partner to care for a nest full of eggs all by herself. Swans usually mate for life, so something was wrong. Marty came to the rescue.
So I set up a food and water station where I fed them every day, kept her going through the 30 days of the 40 days on the nest. And then I went up, it was one of the most emotional things. I went to the nest and she just raised herself up and these 6 little faces popped out from underneath her. And I just burst into tears. It was beautiful. And you get one at a time. Yeah, yeah. Come on. Plop, plop. Come on. There you go, Mum. Mum's doing a great job. It's your Mum. Don't know what frightened you there. Animals can sense whether you can work with them or not. They know. They just want to be somewhere comfortable, that's it.
Thanks to Marty, the Swan family is doing great. The park is a haven for wildlife, and for people, too. For Josh, the park is an escape from the busy city. Exploring the park with his bike, Blue Boy, has shown him a new side to where he grew up.
This is Blue Boy Bernie. I got him because of the wheels. Of course, they're blue. You know, they're different. My sister got me this lock, which is incredible. He either fix me up, but I got a little different things I want to do, but I like the way he is. And that's what it is. You know, people should like you just the way you are. I've lived here since '91. I came from Grenada. And listen, I just realized how awesome this park is. At 35, you know what I'm saying? It's just because life got so busy, I didn't get a chance to slow down and appreciate where I live. I live in the same neighborhood I grew up in, and it doesn't seem like anything really changed. But I learned yesterday from a lady who said, it's not where you live, it's how you live, right? It's not where you live, it's how you live. So now, Blue Boy and I, we go exploring. There are so much beautiful spots here that is breathtaking. It's so serene, you kind of don't want to leave.
A bicycle is a great way to explore the park, which is exactly what Taka discovered. Taka is a hairstylist, originally from Japan. He rides his bike through the park to get to work.
You know, riding bicycle is my commute, but it became one of my kind of routine, like a life routine. It's just so amazing to see woods and trees and like a lot of people, cyclists as well. when I ride around the park, I feel great. I think it's such a beautiful park.
Cuckoo! Cuckoo! Oh my God, cuckoo, cuckoo, cuckoo.
Photo op. Bob?
I don't even see it.
It's hanging off of the branch. You could see its white belly. He just dropped. Of course he did, right when I didn't get a picture. That's okay, I saw him.
So there are a bunch of birds flying around right in here. Let's just head this way.
The man in the orange hat is Tom. He leads bird walks in Prospect Park most Thursdays.
It's very birdy today. There I can hear golden crown kinglets calling up here, that very high tss. Watch the hole here in the bricks.
Tom is a birding expert. He's memorized over 3,000 bird calls since he began birding at the age of 12.
Red-bellied woodpecker just called that choop, choop call. Red-bellied woodpecker.
This time of year is a very good time to go birding in Prospect Park. It's the start of fall migration, and the park is an important place for millions of birds making the journey south.
All the birds we're seeing had nested north of us, and now are coming back down south to go to their wintering grounds.
A bird traveling along the eastern seaboard will end up in New York City, needing a safe place to rest and refuel. There's a vast ocean on one side of them, and in the other direction, nothing but buildings and concrete.
And at the end of the night, they look down, and they're like, oh my God, what do I do?
And then they see Prospect Park, the last forest in Brooklyn.
Without this park, they would die, basically.
Tom's not being dramatic. One of the species of bird that wouldn't survive without Prospect Park is an incredible little bird
called the black-polled warbler, which nests in the very, very far boreal forest. They fly down to about here at Prospect Park. They have to feed. They feed and feed and feed. They build their fat up, and then they fly straight to South America.
And what did I say? Black-polled warbler. They are just insane. By the time they land again in South America, they will weigh less than before they even started putting on weight. So they consume some of their internal organs to keep themselves going.
The black-polled warbler is just one of many species of animals, insects, and plants that rely on the forest in Prospect Park.
Favorite tree?
That's a tough one. That's a tough one.
There are over 30,000 trees in Prospect Park, of more than 175 species. Some of the trees are centuries old. One of the biggest and oldest is an American elm whose trunk is 6.5 feet wide.
There's one tree that is near the boathouse that is a very nice tree to climb on. There's a bunch of different places where you can sit. So I made it up this far. Oh my God.
One of my favorite species of tree is white oak. I think it's just a really beautiful tree. But I love them all.
Have you guys been over to the American Elm Grove? American elms, we don't have a lot left because a lot of them got the Dutch elm disease, but there's this circle of American elms, and when you stand in the middle of them, there's just this very, calming experience.
Kate grew up in Brooklyn and visited Prospect Park as a kid. The forest is where she finds peace.
There's one spot I'll come to if I'm having kind of a bad day, and it's a spot that Howard and I and a couple other gardeners, we established a ground cover there, and it's this native ginger. It's ant pollinated. Oh, you can like see the ants? The leaves are here and the flowers are here, and so the ants will come in and then just like pollinate it, and like you'll see it start to sprout up. You can see there's a patch here, but it's also been spread back here, and you know, that whole greenery in there is also the ginger, and it's because of ants.
The insects, the spiders, the centipedes, when you really start looking at them up close, you realize how spectacular and beautiful so many insects really are. They're incredibly important because they do so many things. They are part of the ecosystem in so many ways. They pollinate flowers, they spread seeds, they are food for other kinds of animals. It really falls apart without insects.
This is Howard, the park's forest ecologist. He's taking us to the Bartell Woods, an area that he and his team have brought back to life.
This is a spectacular area for pollinators. There's so many flowers of so many different types. Right here, we have white snakeroot. This is beard-tongue penstemon. These produce tubular white flowers. I've seen hummingbirds feeding on these as well. Got a sweet birch. This started off, you know, little guy. Biodiversity is how many different species of living things are in an area. This is a red maple. Blue-stem goldenrod. The more types of animals, plants, fungi, these organisms all interact with each other. When you have high biological diversity, you know things are going well. When you start losing biodiversity, especially when it starts happening suddenly and quickly, you know something is very wrong. Prior to us restoring this area, where we're standing now and everything that goes to the end there looked like what you were seeing back there. Trampled flat, no plants on the ground, dust. It's a night and day difference. You can see, you know, where the fence ends, you know, what's on that side and what's on this side. I think all of us were really astounded by just how well and how quickly this area became what it looks like now. And eventually, this whole area is going to be a forest again.
On a hot day, the park can be 20 degrees cooler than some neighborhoods in Brooklyn. And it's because of the forest. The trees cool the air and filter out pollution. They take in rainfall and help prevent flooding from heavy storms. Just stepping into the forest can change the way you feel that day. John and Leela have made it to The Last Stand, the experimental tree opera. An artist created music from recordings she made of the forest.
I mean, the name The Last Stand kind of made me think it was like climate change and like nature's last stand, but that sounds really sad.
Yeah.
We're definitely seeing effects of climate change. The most obvious example of that is just the extreme weather we're having and the effects that has on the park, like flooding and trees coming down in high winds.
In 2012, Superstorm Sandy hit New York City. Prospect Park lost over 300 trees. After the storm, volunteers came together to help restore the park.
This is known as the Sandy Crew because we started working on cleaning up the damage from Superstorm Sandy, and we never stopped.
The Sandy Crew is made up of a group of people who love the park.
The park has been my backyard for 45 years.
Brian began running in the park in his 20s.
So this is just paying back in a small way for all those gym membership fees that I never had to pay.
Over the years, the Sandy Crew has done some amazing work in the park. Along the way, making lifelong friends.
The majority of my friends are volunteers in the park, and we do other things together away from the park.
Another group of friends in the park doing important work are the Woodlands Youth Crew. Today, they're helping Marty clear out invasive plants where the floating goat can't reach.
We're clearing water primrose, which is an invasive, clogs up the waterways. So if the whole pool ended up covered, there would be no oxygen in the bottom of the lake, and the fish would die, the turtles would all come to try and get oxygen, and it would be quite a disaster. It's very heavy stuff. This is a lot of work.
But we're Woodlands Youth Crew, so we make it look easy.
It's not the average summer job for a kid living in New York City. And it's not just a paycheck. Best friends, Catherine and Christina, take the train together an hour each way to get to the park.
I wake up early and come to work.
They learned about the Woodlands Youth Crew during a school field trip.
We wanted to work and, get involved with the ground and the trees and just experimenting things. And we were interested in it. We wanted to make some cash, too. So we took the opportunity. We had an interview. We made it in. Yeah, so now we're here. It's like a family here, Yeah, it is. Right there. Right over by the window.
Do you know what turtle it is, Howard? Just statistically speaking, it's almost certainly a slider. Okay. We do have painted turtles, which are the native, and painted turtles die too and leave their shells.
It looks like a soccer ball. I guess let's go. Let's go back to the
You were at the end of the road. The girls' time now, yeah?
When the park needs help, people come together to help it. When we need help, the park is there for us. This is Wayne. When the COVID pandemic hit, all of his concerts were canceled. He and his band decided to play one afternoon at the park. They ended up returning every day.
We had so many people reach out to us and say, hey, I really needed that today, or I was having a hard month, you guys saved me. That's really what kept us coming back every single day.
For Wayne and many others during the pandemic, the park was where they felt safe, could relax, and could see friends and family.
We've had a lot of magical times at the park, like really where there's just, you see it in everyone, that everyone's kind of living in the moment together.
The pandemic showed the importance of the park as a place for people to come together and a place to connect with nature. Sinead is a dancer, and the park is where she finds inspiration.
I love dancing so much. I think I prefer moving sometimes more than speaking. I don't have to use my words all the time to get a point across. Even if we don't speak the same language, I can tell if someone's scared. I can tell if someone is happy, if someone is sad. The world is it's a scary place. And to be here and to know that I can always come to Prospect Park to find solace, a reminder that I don't always have to live in that space of fear. Because, the earth is here really to keep you safe and support you. What did I say earlier? Nature's natural cushion. Nature's cushion, the grass. Yeah, I feel lucky.
Get up and dance. Can you hear your angels singing? Get up and dance. Calm your fear. This is your chance.
Fear can really deter you and discourage you. Why be afraid of anything? Really, to do anything, Like dance in the park. People are doing their own thing. So come and do your thing.
Everyone goes to the park for different reasons. Every day is different. Every person is different. But deep down, there are some things about us that are the same. We all share a connection to nature. We all want a place to feel safe, a place to be ourselves. This is the park. A celebration of life. A place where the connection between all living things is seen and felt. We'll see you next Saturday in the park.